Hello, and welcome to our very first episode of the AANA Meet the Marketer. But we're doing something a little bit different today. We're not technically sitting with a marketer, but somebody that has been with or dealt with a lot of marketers, right?
Influence. We influence and support.
Yeah. So welcome Kirsty Muddle, CEO of Dentsu Creative.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So this is our very first episode for 2024, and we wanted to do something a little bit different by talking to Kirsty and getting a really good idea about the trends that are coming up and what they're seeing within the agency. Mm-hmm. So let's get started though. We want to know a little bit more about her career. Can you give us a little bit of a history lesson?
Sure. I mean, we could go really deep, and I started off as a cheerleader in Papua New Guinea. Right. Yes, that's right. I didn't get paid for that, so maybe it doesn't qualify.
Technically not.
I was fortunate enough to go to university in the UK, and from there I started my career, probably my first paid job in London, working at a business called Mindshare, and Mindshare was a media company. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't understand what media was. I didn't know what WPP was. I ended up there on a temp. I was temping because I was waiting for grad schemes to come through. But I loved the environment. It was a sort of this heyday when media and creative had separated, but because media had been in creative agencies, Mindshare felt like a creative agency, and we had Rory Sutherland and some of these amazing people walking around the office. And I was working on the cannibalisation of a bread company called Warburton's launching a 400-gram loaf of bread over an 800-gram loaf of bread, and I found it fascinating that you could, control the cannibalisation of bread by having an influence on humans through the virtue of media and through messaging, and I soon became addicted to the industry, and any thought of me going to work in a bank was long gone.
It's very different.
And
yes.
I was pretty committed to. I was there for 6 or 7 years, and then I had a year in Bahrain where I worked for the Bahrain International Circuit, and we were doing a project with the FIA. So we're working on how we build a motor cluster city around this amazing circuit they built there. So I did that for a year, and then WPP were good enough to have me back again, and I landed back in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. So I worked in Melbourne, and then from there I was started my own business with some partners called Cummins and Partners, and I was there for 11 years. So owner operator, worked with some amazing people. We did some great things, and then I've been at Dentsu for the past almost 2 years now. So yeah, I mean, I've definitely had a couple of long tenures at some businesses, and I learned a lot from that, but that's kind of a synopsis of my career.
Love that. Yeah, fell in love with it, and you're still addicted, right?
I am, yeah. Knowing people better than anyone else. That's kind of, what we do in this part of the world.
Well, it sounds like you've had a phenomenal history. Can you pluck out one career moment for us that was a real standout or a huge life lesson for you?
Oh, look, you know what it was the great opportunity to start a business that you owned at Cummins and Partners. I would say that was career defining from a leadership point of view.
Sure.
The one thing you learn very quickly is you need to make your own decisions, and I think we underestimate how important it is to make decisions, particularly when you get to the top of an organisation, is that you're really left to make that decision. And you learn that from having no one else to make the decisions for you when you're in an indie. So that was definitely career defining. Yeah. And I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity that I was given to do that. And 11 years, I think we earned our stripes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure you're really proud too. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Huge.
Great agency.
Yeah.
Great people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So Dentsu Creative, let's talk a little bit about the business.
Yep.
Can you help us understand and help our listeners understand what that single creative brand outlook means?
Sure.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, you can say that. I think you see that there's a fair bit of, and there has been for about 4 years, consolidation of different agency brands into one.
Yeah.
And we went through that transformation a year and a half ago, where we took some wonderful brands and capabilities like Isobar and with Collective and BWM, and Dentsu had made some wonderful acquisitions around the world, but we ended up having over 60 brands. And those capabilities were working in silos, and the consumer doesn't absorb messages in silos, and I don't think marketers want solutions in silos or that fragmented. And so we brought the capability together under Dentsu Creative. So we have experience, we have entertainment, we have tech, we have earned. We have quite a substantial and successful PR business across governance and reputation and consumer PR. And we brought it all together so it operated around an idea. And that's, we're a good year and a half into that now. So that's the single brand you're talking about, Dentsu Creative. What that also allows us to do as a network, though, is be really connected. So for the first time ever, all of our offices around the world, and I think there's 100 and, it's nearly 200 of them. We speak the same language in terms of the way we operate, in terms of our vision and our philosophy, and that allows us to connect globally really very easily into insights and teams that sit offshore, so we can be borderless, which is awesome. It's pretty empowering.
What does it mean for the marketer or the team of marketers that you're dealing with? So does that mean that they come to you with a brand problem they want you to solve, and you're able to bring in the various what were previously
absolutely
brands? Is that how it works? What's the experience with it?
Just hopefully it makes it easier. Two things. Easier for us to work together, which means it's easier for them to work with us. And then secondly, diversity breeds original thinking. So if you give us the problem, might not be, it's a business problem, we will orchestrate the right people and the right capability around that problem to come back to you with a solution that is solving that problem, right? And do it quite fluid, like in a fluid manner, as opposed to having to jump through different P&Ls and silos, and that takes time and energy that I don't think, particularly in today's current climate, anyone's got that time or that energy. We need to be effective and efficient at what we do. And hopefully better ROI for marketers, right? That's right. The world is moving and change happens at such a rapid pace now. I think we need to move at the pace the customer and the consumer expects, and so there's really no time for the hurdles that were created by different P&Ls and silos and ways of working. Sounds good. Love it. It's exciting. So can you tell us a little bit about some trends that you're starting to see? What's happening? Is there something specific that you can call out as an example? I mean that's certainly the headline in all the discussions we've been having in every business. I think that the headline is growth. So coming through a recessionary environment, our consumers and our customers aren't spending what they used to spend. So everybody needs to grow, and a lot of businesses, apart from, there's some that are recession proof, like health tends to be, and a lot of government business tends to be recession proof. Everyone's looking for growth because they didn't have a great year last year. So how you go about growth and how you generate new opportunities and new products for customers to satisfy that need for growth is got to be different to what it once was. And so, we're certainly seeing that being a consistent across every business, but it's the way in which you go about the growth and the innovation that's needed in product and service design is probably the difference between last year versus this year in terms of the kind of brief we're getting. And for us, that means, a brand can't just be a brand ad, right? A brand is your commitment to your customer and the consumer, and it should also dictate the experiences they have beyond just messaging and communication. And so how we help clients innovate and create new products and models and services is just an extension of your brand. And that's where clients and where some of our briefs are going in terms of the solutions that they need to drive the growth that they need. Is there anything else you can tell us about? I mean, it's interesting when you look at vertical video and where people are looking and where their eyeballs are going and thumb-stopping content is that where people search for the truth and information is changing too. So I know that there's definitely a place, and we need to be cognizant that people are searching on TikTok to find information that perhaps they were once looking in books and they were looking on Google for, is that those social media platforms now satisfies people's thirst for knowledge, not just entertainment. And then I would say the second bit to that, which is off the back of what we were talking about from an experience point of view, is that just because you have a great brand doesn't mean you have a great experience, and that there's never been more pressure for us to bring those two things together. And then just last year there was a survey and it just confirmed that over a third of customers said they'll walk away from a brand if they have a bad experience with service, with one of their products. And so the need to bring brand and experience closer together is really is critical at the moment.
And that's probably why we're seeing some changes in how businesses are structured, right? Because the customer experience is coming under that marketing division, and they're thinking about things a little bit differently.
I mean,
now.
it puts pressure on making sure that you have a strong brand foundation and that you've thought about, is it really an organising idea? Can I build rituals and cultural artefacts and products and services and create value for my people, so your employees, for your people, but also the customer off the back of that organising idea? So it will put pressure on that as well. Yeah.
Cool. Have you got any plans that you can share with us for the next 12 to 24 months? Don't go that far.
12 to 24 months. I mean, gosh.
6 to 12?
Certainly the thing we're most excited about this year is the kind of work that we're going to do based on the demand from our clients. And so I hope in the next 6 months you see, because we're able to access the global network in a fluid manner and we're able to work as one. The kind of work that we'll do excites us, and we're starting to see some green shoots, and with Ben Coulson, who's just joined us as Chief Creative Officer, we're starting to see some real momentum and interesting shapes of ideas that we've never seen before. And that's exciting. I mean, that's why I work in this industry, and I'm very fortunate to work in it, that, ideas are our currency, and that's why I come to work. So, being in an environment that is nurturing new ideas and than ever before is very exciting for us this year.
Yeah. And so how does it work with a lot of your partners or brands that are working with you? Are they working with you on a global level or more in Australia?
We have a nice mix, to be honest. We have Amex that we work with globally. We have Toyota that we work with in multiple markets. But they all have very strong local teams, so we localise a lot of that. And then, I would say about 50% of our business is also local. So the Iconic, we've got a number of local brands.
All right, so I've got a couple of rapid fire questions for you, and more like maybe a few actually.
Good.
Favourite read or listen over the summer?
Oh, for a minute there I thought it was going to be a spelling bee. Okay, but anyway. I'm reading, so I spend a lot of time at the Art Gallery, New South Wales, over summer. My kids loved going there.
So good.
What Artists Wear by Charlie Porter. I'm reading. I'm fascinated by, wearing I don't get a lot of opportunity to be creative because it's not in my job title, right? No, it's not in my job title.
It does not make sense.
So sometimes I express myself through what I wear, and that I don't seem to be the only one. So there's a whole book about it. That's right. But anyway, it's fascinating to see how these wonderful artists wore their emotion, and that influenced what they made that day.
Cool.
So it's a great read. It's a very famous fashion journalist.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, cool. Next holiday destination?
Alula in Saudi.
Ooh.
Have you heard about that?
No.
I mean, that's where I want to go by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
But
Tell me why.
It's a hidden city in Saudi that they have. They're turning into. I mean, the anchor of it will be creativity and design, but it's got an ancient city that sits at the base of it that they've uncovered.
Wow.
There's 40,000 people that live there at the moment. If you look at the imagery, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. And I need to go and see this place.
Wow, so I think all of us are about to turn up there.
Yeah, I think everyone have a look. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Yes. Best career advice you've ever received?
There's two that actually, and they're not profound in any way, but I still replay them in my career. One is don't tread on people on the way up. And so be very careful about your relationships, and having great relationships with people and being kind is very important. Whatever industry you're in, you can't really lead unless you have the trust and the belief of your people. And so that was really important. And the other one is know your first sentence. And so if you're in a big meeting, or you're about to present something on stage, or you're nervous about a presentation, or walking into a budget meeting, if you just know your first sentence and focus on that, the rest will come.
Love that.
Yeah, I think they're quite useful.
You're currently binging on?
My husband and my children dominate the TV, so
So you have to watch.
I read a book.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, then favourite meal to cook?
I find it really therapeutic cooking a curry. So I was born in the West Indies, and we have a recipe that's been handed down, and I find it therapeutic to cook that.
That's so cool. Yeah. Must smell like home, hey? Or feel like home.
Well, it smells like my childhood.
Final question, any parting words of wisdom that you can give our listeners?
For me, I think, if we really want to chase growth, and it could be this year, it could be any time in your business cycle or your career, is that diversity breeds original thinking. And I think sometimes we get so trapped or stuck in our ways of working, we forget or don't allow the time to look outside of our corridor. And it's really important if you want to find new ways of doing things and to build momentum and change in whatever you're doing.
Yep. And can we get that report? You had a report, you mentioned a couple of stats.
We sure can,
we could get that?
We can share.
Perfect.
Trends.
Let's do that.
No problem.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.